And everybody mute, please. It's just cleaner that way. Oh, you know what? I'm looking for the Zoom mutes on the bottom. I was looking for the little red ones. Okay. Right? And they don't have, I thought everyone was unmuted. I'm sorry. I got it now. It's the gray. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. How you doing, Nissan? Anything to say about anything? Quick check-in?
Yeah, it's nice to see everybody again. Just checking in to see how you guys and Nancy are doing.
Okay.
Us in New York is moving along very well, and doing a lot of work for also UPA. I'm the administrative coordinator for the UPA, and we're just trying to get things going.
Right.
We all like to invite you to the UPA town hall tomorrow. Uh, if you'd like to have your voices heard. Thank you.
What time is that? 7 or something?
That would be at 7 o'clock, Thursday at 7 o'clock. Yeah.
And that's always on the
Yes.
calendar, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be on the UPA Gilded calendar.
So it's not only the certain representatives that can be going to that, like that's for anybody now?
Yeah, that's open to all UAP members or affiliates.
What kind?
All UPA members and affiliates.
What's the UPA again?
United People's Assembly, open town hall.
Am I a member of that?
Well, you're technically a member of a body that is represented in the UPA.
So I'm not sure if I can go or not.
No, you're invited. You can come.
I'll just say you told me I could. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So yeah, there was on the website, section of our Gilded, it said something about frequently asked questions. I think it was Scott put something in that he was gonna start that. And so it feels like related to the doc that I made about like a stance / platform. I think it was Mark or Bob doesn't like platform, and I can see why. So I thought we'd just look at that and kind of talk about it so that we can agree on what we kind of expect candidates to like or not like. And I did get into detail about some of the climate stuff, but it's no big deal. I couldn't help myself. I put, details. So I'm going to share screen, and I'll just kind of scroll down and kind of say what they are as quickly as I can, and not in a boring way. It's not too bad. I think it's only 2 pages or something. Did anybody, if raise your hand, your actual hand, if anybody looked at it? Well, I did paste it into an email, but I have worked on it some more. Did anybody really look at it much? Because that's why. Okay, Aaron. All right. So it won't hurt to look at it again. I don't want to bore everybody if everyone studied it. Bob looked at it. Yeah, he said he said good work or something. Okay, so let's see if I can share that. Here we go. Present now button. A window or a tab. I think it's a window.
Maple, may I ask at some point, maybe right after this, if you would give us the agenda for the day?
It was in Gilded, so I'm not going to mess around. It's only 2 things. Okay, it's 2, and I sent it in an email as well. So I know not everybody can keep up.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Okay, there's only 2 things. Yeah, it's looking at this document for the stances, just to at least talk about it a bit. So to get it in our heads and start to share what we like and don't like, And then the other thing was to look and talk about a couple of parts and statements in the Matt Ho interview that I watched and shared the other day. So we can get talking about that since Matt's coming next week. So it's those 2 things.
Well, there are 2 other things.
Yeah, I got your email and I replied to that too. One was about your performance and the other was about you wanted to you want us to recommend, and you said a motion, and I replied, I'm not sure about that, but if we talked about whether to do it or not, it might take a really long time, and maybe the election's in November, right, for that person running? Maybe we can wait a little bit and hold off on it.
Okay.
Is that, yeah, like a couple of weeks or something, because we have time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we don't really have a process yet for recommending, and what do you call it?
Endorsing.
Endorsing. I was like encouraging. It's an E word. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to share this doc. I don't know how this is going to. Okay, there it is. All right, cool. To avoid a mirror, stop presenting. Okay. Okay. So I see how to do this. All right. So I named it, what is it? People's Party NC, what is it? So I noticed on the website that Scott has put in this mission here, and I had a little problem with it. We can talk about it a little bit or not, just to let you know that it says like, the way he had it, it's the second one cut from, and I cut something out. It says mission, our mission is to represent the people of North Carolina by building a party, right? But I think it should just be that our mission is to build the party. Because, you know, I get a little technical, but like, we're not really representing, it's the candidates that get in there eventually. They're going to be representing the people and us, and we hope they do it right, right? So in a way we're representing, but I just felt kind of strong about that, but we can talk about it now or later. That's what I cut out. And then the other part I cut out was brown. I don't know if you can see it. The corrupted two-party system. We propose solutions to help solve the many challenges people in our state experience. Well, again, I think it's the candidates that are proposing the solutions, and we're letting them know what we think the issues are and what the problems are, and maybe some of the potential solutions, but not all. You know, like the banking Glass-Steagall Act. That's one solution that a lot of people say will, you know, half cure the banking problem. But is that the best solution? Well, right now, right? I mean, how detailed can we get? We don't really know the solutions. So that's something that the candidates announce or talk about. Hopefully they talk about what would they do. And then the people that they're going to present to, that we hopefully funnel in as voters, are going to make a judgment on that. And like, well, okay, that sounds like a good answer. Or no, this candidate's dumb. I think he should or she should do this. So I just feel like it's the candidate, and that we're not in the middle of, you know, really we're not in the middle of representing. They are, and we're not bringing up and responsible for solutions. They are. And it kind of gets us off the hook and off the responsibility a little bit. So that's what I did. I cut out the brown, and this is what I would say, just the black, a little shorter and simpler. So that's one thing I was, and because that's already on the website, the bigger version. You know, I mean, it's not a giant deal, but I think it's significant. Now here it is. It says 5 pages, but it's big font. So here's the 2 main things I think we are, right? Money out of politics, right? So our candidates need to be corporate money free, including CEO money. A lot of them do that, right? They have CEOs pay them, and it's not a PAC. It's not PAC money, but it's still a corporation. And then I put platform, but our stance is not ours. It's going to be up to the candidates and the people to decide what issues are the most important at that time and what the potential answers are. So that's it. Like, the people are going to say it, and we don't want candidates who take any, especially corporate money. And then these are the main issues. See, it goes way down. I'm going to go back up there, but it goes way down to a whole bunch down here, like lesser stuff that could actually be voted right now in the Congress, right? Green New Deal, minimum wage, you know, those kinds of things that aren't huge changes, but are just, they could be bills, right? And there's some more that are pretty good things here. You'd probably like cannabis, family leave, and it goes all the way up to, these were kind of what I felt are most important because I'm a climate person, but it wouldn't have to be in this order. And if we have a document, it would be really chopped even more, right? This is just why, the reasons that I put on this. So climate, atmosphere, I have on there because it's the most important for me, but you know, we can. Rapid shift from and that's highlighted, the rapid shift from fossil fuels. That's part of climate, atmosphere. Okay, next one, military budget. Wow, what we could do with that money, right? So to cut it. Bernie's bill, I mean, they had a 10%, cut it by 10%, an increment that Bernie and them had, but I don't think it went anywhere. And nuclear weapons moratorium is part of that. Let's face it, we could all die any minute with that issue for years and years. And then some of them I've got tied to. So military budget is tied to healthcare. All that veterans care is under the VA, and that's federal budget. So Medicare for all, whatever you want to call it, we want that, all right? That's tied to debt relief because Bernie says 500,000 people go bankrupt from medical bills only every year. Then we've got separate soil, water restoration, and farms, right? Because there's so much pollution from tractor exhaust and growing for the CAFOs and the cows and also growing, what do you call it, corn gas, corn fuel. So that's a huge big ball of problem, pollution and money wasted and, what do you call it, subsidizing like tobacco and just all of that stuff. Then I've got debt relief. That's a big one. Not only student debt relief, but also credit card debt. There's this group, Debt Collective. They've been around for a long time and they're getting a lot of attention. They're a well-known debt relief group. So I just put them in there they could be referred to. Criminal justice reforms, right? Of course, which is tied to legalizing cannabis. That's one of my separate items, but they're completely tied together. And also it's tied to opioid, decriminalization of opioids, sorry. Then we've got restructuring the banks, stronger consumer protection, create public banks, and reinstate the Glass-Steagall Act. That's supposed to be like a huge game changer because they stopped that. That was controlling the crazy banks that just do whatever they want now. Raising wages, of course, union rights, family leave, legalized cannabis. I like the making the Supreme Court bigger. That's controversial. Not that we all agree with that. It's an interesting. I like the idea to 12 judges. I mean, over history, it's gone up and down many, many times, I guess. Eliminate the Senate filibuster. I mean, they could do that tomorrow, but I think most of us are probably for that. I hate the Senate. I think it's so unrepresentational. So I replace the Senate to a population representative model. That a lot of people are talking about that. I mean, I'm not crazy, right? But it's wow, it would be nice, but that's probably a long ways off. But I thought I'd put it in there. DC voting, right? That's, what do you call it? Statehood. DC statehood is a big issue. It's a racist. It was very racist because of the African-American population in DC. They're unrepresented. Puerto Rico justice. Then you've got more equal pay for women. I mean, there's things that aren't even in here, right? Reparations for First Nation, African-American, and other American people abused by the US government. There's a lot of talk around that, whatever form it takes. There's all kinds of ideas around that out there. Eliminate the Electoral College. And then, like I said, I've got these things that could be bills down at the bottom. Right to organize, immigrant rights, reproductive rights. A couple of them are repeating, Green New Deal. Okay, so that's the whole doc that I thought I'd start so we have something to talk about when we need to. Anybody want to take a turn, make a comment? I mean, we're not going to edit it right now, but it's got editing capabilities. You guys can go into it and edit it. So
I have a question.
Okay, Stacy, go.
That I would like to before I get into this, which is I'm still pretty confused about the idea of a platform or a statement and what we as a party can say or do versus the candidate. So, if you look at the Green Party website, they have a platform. And so I'm unclear about what's going on, basically. Like, why can't we have a platform? And for me to clear that up would help me know what I would want to put in this statement. So I like so Janet listed a question a little while ago, which is my question as well. Don't candidates represent the party platform? And so, yeah, I would love that if we could discuss that or get really clear. Thanks. And I guess I should time the discussion, right? So Mark has his hand raised and I'll time him.
Yes, please. Thank you, Stacy.
This really is something for the pressure group rather than a party. Now, parties have platforms. I mean, the Democratic Party of North Carolina has an extremely lengthy platform every election, and it don't mean shit because they have no means of holding anybody to it. And it's because of the way nominations are handled. Now, the first time that the party nominates candidates, it can hold them to something like that, or at least a promise to support the platform, and it can withhold nomination if they don't comply. But once the party is recognized, it can't do that because it nominates by primary. However, a pressure group can withhold an endorsement of a candidate, and that never goes away. So pressure groups have lengthy platforms like this, and they're binding. And they can, they can endorse across party lines if they want to, although the vast majority of them are really de facto tied to a party, but not legally. But uh, in any case, it's not a bad wish list. But see, the Greens originated as an attempt to transplant a European party to the United States. And in a parliamentary system, the candidate is directly responsible to the party, not to the voters. And
You
in
got
many
1
cases,
minute, Mark, right now. You got 1 minute left, honey. We can listen to you again later. Okay, go.
the in a situation where the party picks the candidate, and the candidate and the voter votes for the party, not for the candidate, it's different. The US doesn't work that way. So you need to be very careful about representing to the public that this is your platform and you're going to hold people to it, because our laws don't really let you do that. I'm done.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, this is good to talk about this. Anybody else? Okay, Janet.
I just wanted to say, the original National People's Party and another group here in Greensboro, Guilford for All, I should say, in Guilford County. They took input from people interested in the group to form a list of positions on things, and so it's a way of inviting people to participate. And I would think that whatever we want to call it, we should have some statement of principles that people could participate in formulating. That's my thought.
Mark, can you mute, huh? Because we had a little echo with Janet. It might have been her audio. I didn't quite make out every word. Okay, anybody else want to share? Oh, Nissan, go.
Yeah, I do think one of the major important issues that you have to work on is how to hold your candidate accountable to the party. You will need something other than just standard law rules and procedures to do that. You can't you can't rely on any legal recourse because we don't have any. The government that specifically is designed not to hold people accountable. So figuring out your own accountability mechanism would be crucial in this fight. I could see other people attempting different things. Some on a ground level, putting more pressure groups on the candidates. Some do more radical things like the white actually going to their houses and stuff like that. but whichever road you choose, it's important to figure out if it's going to be effective or not. That's to be what we need to worry about. Thank you.
Thanks, Nissan. Aaron,
All right, I'm just going to jump in here. I think it's great discourse. I think it's something that we need to continue to speak on. And I agree with what Nissan and Mark has said. And to add to what they've said, I would just say it's not normal to create a political party. It's not a normal thing. And so there are going to be things that look different, that feel different, and that feel weird. And that's normal. It's okay, because what we're doing is weird and different and out of the ordinary. It's normal to be in a nonprofit. That's a normal thing. And nonprofits endorse all the time. So it's normal to see Guilford for All. Like, I went on their page and they have a slate of candidates that they've endorsed because they're a nonprofit. They're not a political party. They're not a 527. So it's imperative. And we've said, and I've said this a gajillion times, but it's imperative to keep it in the front of our minds that we are not, the reason we've created a nonprofit organization is so we can do all of those things. But our main priority is to be, I guess, disruptors of the duopoly, right? And the way we're doing that first and foremost is we're providing an avenue, a channel for the majority of people in our state, the unaffiliated folks, to see like, hey, there's a group that actually represent the people. That's the whole point of what we're doing. So our very existence is doing that. And I'll just add one last thing. Like, when I spoke to the board of elections, she called me on the phone because she was like, what party are you affiliated with? You can't do this without being affiliated with a party. And I said, well, none that exists. Like, we are our own party. And it was strange for her because this isn't something you see every day, like even for them. So it was a good reminder for me, like, as we're doing stuff that feels weird and different, other people are, the more we get exposure to other people and see different things, they're going to be like, what? It's like, yeah, I guess if I have to say what party I'm affiliated with, I guess it would be the People's Party, because the whole point in submitting this paperwork to you is for us to be a people's party. It's a whole separate thing. And like, you'll never see the Democratic Party pick sides and say, we are, as a party, we endorse Joe Biden or we endorse Bernie Sanders.
20 seconds.
I see it. You'll see the DNC. You'll see, but those aren't parties. Those are groups affiliated with the parties. So it's very nuanced, but it's an important difference to understand. As a group, nonprofit, we can endorse all day, but we're not a political party. So I
Right.
just wanted to add that.
Yeah, excellent. We're going to welcome 2 people, and I was going to call myself, and then Bob had his hand up. Welcome, Delmas Parker, and welcome to Joseph. Hey guys, welcome.
Welcome.
We did introduction. Oops, Delmas, I can't. You got to mute, well, unmute, whatever. Delmas, you want to say a little bit about yourself for about a half a minute? You can. That's fine, Delmas, if you want, and then Joseph. Even though you're late, that's fine. He's looking for his mute. Unmute. All right, Joseph, you want to say anything? Say hi.
Click on the red circle at the bottom.
Hi, everybody. I'm here because I want to see this party change everything.
Where do you live, Joseph? If you can share if you live where you live.
Asheville,
Okay,
North
cool.
Carolina.
Great. Welcome. Yeah, we're trying to get into discussion about obviously issues and how we're going to do things. Delmas, are you going to look for your mute still? You're unmute, or you just, you can't find. All right, we'll come back to you, hon, okay? All right, Bob was next. And what I wanted to say was, yeah, it's about issues, not a platform. Like, we know the duopoly, all they talk about is, well, their budget and everything but the issues. So that's the thing, right? We want to be different. Okay, I'm done, Stacy. Okay, Bob.
We lost Bob. I'm not sure. I think we lost him. So
Oh, okay.
we'll have
All
to
right.
come back
He
to
had
him.
his hand up a minute ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bob dropped off for a second. He'll probably be back.
Yeah, and mine, by the way, mine comes and goes, AT&T, mine comes and goes. Oh, Bob, we were looking for you. Okay, you still have your hand up?
There's two red buttons on the bottom. There's one on the left that
You
unmutes,
did the hang up one? Yeah,
I did the one on the right.
yeah. Okay.
And I'm not a right type leaning person, but so I just don't know what's going on. Anyway, the comment I was going to make was about getting candidates to at least acknowledge the platform the party has is that we are the chief, will probably be their chief fundraiser. And that I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yikes. Money. All right.
And a short comment from Bob. You got to put that in bronze.
Nissan, go.
Yeah, actually, the one more other thing I want to make sure you keep in mind is with candidates, you have to worry about celebrity worship and hero worship because that seemed to have caused major atrocities to take place because people don't hold those people to account because they're looked at as higher than others. So I don't know how to solve that issue. That's a societal issue, but it's something to keep in mind. I mean, we already tried, we've been for years picking people based on their name recognition. That's nothing new. But then even when we tried, like just the Democrats, when they elevated new names like AOC or Jamila Piapol, they got also elevated into celebrityhood, and people stopped holding to account. So that was problematic. So you can't have lose sight of that.
Well, I'd have to take advantage of my facilitating role. I could say a little comment right here, take a second, but I think part of that is to make money, to get freaking money in politics. If we didn't have money in politics, it would just be about the job they're doing. Are we going to vote for this clown or how are they doing? It wouldn't be about, oh, they have a lot of social media, like Bernie making appearances. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of it is about that. It's because of that. Well, I'm ready to move on to our next topic, even though we're totally not done. Anybody else have any comments to make? Stacy had the question, and that's why I had put the doc up, where are we at and whose responsibility is it? And it is about the issues. We're new. We want to help change the whole focus of candidates being representing people, right? And Mark has a good point about the legalities and what's what, but I mean, call it a stance, call it the People's Party stance, 527. I'm sorry, I'm not sure about all those lines, but whatever you call it, whatever category it fits into, is it a guideline? I think we need to think about that, and we want to attract good candidates and people that want to vote for those candidates, and we want them to agree with what we want for sure, but we can't control it either. So, and anybody can edit that document. I guess it's related, like I said, to frequently asked questions, so we can maybe kind of do them together, use them for that. But I think we need to.
Hands raised,
We
mate.
agree. We might not all agree on those either. Okay, go ahead. Was that Mark? Was that Mark? Who talked? Who wants to talk?
Stacy raised hers first.
Okay, as we wind this up. Okay. Oh, so I
Okay.
see it now. That's Stacy and then Mark. Okay, go ahead, Stacy.
Okay. I'm timing myself. So, damn, I forgot what I was going to say. To kind of wrap it up a little bit. Yeah, I think we need to discuss it more, but I really like Janet's calling something a statement of principles, and I hope there is some way that perhaps a statement of principles that we can attract the kind of person, the kind of people that we want to support. And I know we've got the other organization, which I can never remember the name, the People's Action. But it feels like if we're a political party, we as the political party, maybe I'm wrong on this, want to describe the kind of candidate we're looking for. And maybe we can call it even a statement of principles, or like, this is who we're looking for. This is who we want to, I don't know, whatever. But that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Stacy.
And
Anybody
then
else?
Mark
on the-
Mark has his hand up.
Oh, yeah, Mark, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Statement of principle is fine because you really do have to have something. I mean, people are going to ask. I do understand this. And not only that, but you can at least hold a candidate to a promise to support the platform unconditionally the first time, that when you're first nominating by convention. You can then deny the candidate the nomination. The trouble is, once you have continuity, once you have carryover recognition, you can't do that anymore. And also, once they're in office, the party can't do anything. It can do things informally. It can withhold financial support, this and that, but it can't do what you can do in some parliamentary systems, recall the candidate, which was actually part of the original MPP platform, that they were going to recall candidates. And I think they got that from Podemos. Anyway, you can't do that. And you can't even really hold them to the platform once you nominate by primary. It's just something to keep in mind. You don't want to, the nomination by convention lets you set an initial direction, but it's kind of like launching a paper airplane. You control which direction you throw it, but then it kind of has a mind of its own, and you need to be aware of this and not promise anybody that you're going to hit the bullseye with the thing like it was a dart. Okay, I'm done.
All right. Mark said what I was gonna say for the most part, so I'm not gonna speak too much more on that. I want to move on to prepare for Matthew coming next week. I'll just add that an example of little things we could do is, for example, membership. When we relaunch Gilded, we have that caveat in there that if you're joining as a member, you're attesting that you're not a fascist, for example, which at the heart of it eliminates a lot of right-wing ideology right off the jump. So I think little things like that matter, and will give people the right idea that where we're at. We're not here for any kind of a fascist candidate or right-wing leaning person. That's not what we're here for. And so there are things, and then I think setting that good precedent with the first candidate will let people know, okay, that's who they're about. Oh, that's who they are. And I think that will answer a lot of questions. But that first go is going to be our only real, like, that's a good analogy, like a paper airplane. That'll be our only real shot at it. But then after we put it out into the world, out into the universe, like, we can't control what happens. So we can use the pressure group to kind of guide, but as a party, we can put up our own candidates and we can endorse, or we can have the pressure group endorse them, and we could throw our support behind them if there were anyone else trying to like come in and like disrupt what we're doing. But we're not there yet, so I'll leave it at that so we can get going on this other stuff.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna do hopefully the clips will work. I don't know if the audio will come through or not. We'll see. I've never done any of this stuff before, so we'll see.
If you do it through tab, it will come through.
You're muted, Maple.
I think she's just pulling up the tab, the video through the tab function. While we wait, I'm just gonna add this to the chat. It's our official new address. It's our PO box. I purchased it this prior week, so I don't know if we'll have time to talk about it, but I'm gonna send it in the chat.
Awesome.
Does they allow you to use a PO box? Oh, that's awesome.
I did have, I had about 10 different parts of this, so we'll just do a few. And so to get to talking about mainly, I've had a problem with being hostages to the Dems or Republicans or any party here. And feel that feeling. So I like the way he does address some of that. And I did email like 6 of you. I like what this guy, George, I never heard of George, podcast by George. This guy's great. He was a truck driver. He was a working guy, but he's smart. And he does say a cool thing. He says, in case we don't get to it, he says, oh, this will be it. Bite the bullet to vote for your candidate. Then a rotation should happen. So let's see if it's right around 34 minutes. Here we go. Oops. Oh, I'm not on the thing. Okay, wait. I was trying to do it on the screen. Okay. Okay, I gotta. Okay, wait.
Into what we're talking about here, and it reminds me of what Jimmy Dore talks about a lot.
Could you hear it?
Yes, just make sure you mute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an
Okay.
echo.
Yeah, I was just thinking I should do that too. Yeah. Okay, I'm turning mine up a little bit. Okay, mute. Okay.
He says, you got to bite the bullet one time. You got to vote against these major parties one time. And the example that he cites is 2016. He says, everybody that voted for Bernie, and stats show this, they came down and they voted for Hillary. They didn't, vote for Trump. They didn't stay at home. They did what they were supposed to do. They voted blue no matter who. And the point that he makes is Trump won anyway. And the bigger issue here is what you're talking about. If they had done that, and if they had gone out and voted for, if they had voted third party instead of voting for Hillary, the Democratic Party would have seen that in 2016, and it would have forever changed, perhaps. It would have moved left after that to get those people that vacated and that they would have thought was responsible for them losing in 2016. Instead, we got Trump anyway. And his point is, if you just bite the bullet, one rotation, that may be all that it takes to make the changes in the Democratic Party, because you ain't going to change the Republican Party. I mean, not really. That we need to have.
Trump is, but it's a way that is really dangerous and awful. But Trump is changing it, But no.
The Tea Party changed it, and they did exactly what we're talking about. They pushed it right. They pushed it clear off the political platform, basically. I mean, they ran John Boehner out of town.
But they did do this, roughly 12.5 million people who voted for Obama in 2012 voted for Trump or stayed home in 2016. So they already did that. It's very similar to, when we talk about issues of labor, the need for workers to be able to strike, right? To withhold. If you're upset with your job, the conditions are terrible, the pay is not what is just. If you continue to show up to work every day, you continue to bring money in for that business you work for, what leverage do you have? And the same with voters. Your leverage is at the ballot box. There's other ways too. You can donate, you can volunteer, but the prime and so to strike in that sense from the two parties is what's necessary to get them to change. And as you said, the Tea Party is a great example of that. Really is.
Okay, yeah, I like that bite the bullet and then a rotation, right? Anybody want to comment a little bit on that? I got a couple more clips I can. Nissan.
Yeah, well, like what he said is the strat that the Justice Democrat tried to employ, which was be the Tea Party of the left. Unfortunately, that their group got infiltrated and torn apart because both the Democrats and the Republicans worked together to take them out. So, I mean, you could see how effective they are just by how viciously they were attacked. Because if they were not a threat, they would not have been attacked so hard. So I think we know what the right way of moving is. We just got to stand firm and to continue these line attacks and change these people's minds. But right now, the problem I'm seeing right now is just people are too like ingrained in the mindset that, you know, it's that they're basically shooting themselves in the foot. You know, and it's not their fault because they were programmed that way, you know, through society. So to unprogram them would take a huge effort. I really don't think it's one day people are going to suddenly wake up and stop being sheep. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the left has an idea that one day that will happen, but I don't think that works that way.
Right. Okay. You done, Nisa? Thanks, Nisa.
Yeah, I yield.
Yeah, I mean, I just got there. I'm like, I'm gonna vote for Matt Howe. It's a big deal because I've always held my nose. So maybe some of you are in the same position there, but I liked what George said. It's you bite the bullet and then it's a rotation, and then, you know, maybe it can turn things around, even if we don't win. And then, but there's a lot of votes, and that's the hard part, right? Is the wall. I mean, I just got there. Some of you might have already been in this place for a long time. I gradually got there in the last couple of years. Go, Aaron.
So one of the things I'm hoping that we'll have time for is to figure out what questions we want to be asking him. So I guess as we're listening to these clips, I'm hoping that people start thinking about how this can relate to our conversation with him for next week. I know, so one of, you know, the updates I was going to share, obviously, is that I reached out to him and we were able to schedule it for next week. Obviously, that's why we're preparing for it. And one thing that I personally was planning on doing is, you know, making sure I've seen a lot of his stuff, but making sure we're not asking too many repeat questions, and we're trying to get new information, and we're trying to frame it in such a way that it's mutually beneficial. It's beneficial to us to see how someone like him can help us, and how a group like us can help him. And my takeaway, my understanding is, you know, he's an independent at heart. So I don't know if you know, he's with the Green Party now, but at heart he's an independent. So I don't know what that would mean in the future down the road. Maybe having a candidate like him with us, that would put us on the map hands down. So but if not, does he have friends? Does he have people, like-minded people that we could support or we could platform? So that's kind of where I'm thinking. That's kind of my, you know, when I'm asking him questions, that's kind of what I'll be going for. But I want to throw that out there just so everyone else is also thinking along those lines as well.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, he does mention, I've seen about 4 or 5 videos. He does mention about skanky things that Beasley and Bud have done. And because he's been attacked already, how he got the, you know, people got paid to get signatures. So a party is like trying to give him a hard time about that, you know, so there's always going to find things. Okay, Stacy.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up Aaron kind of brought it up as well, that he's not particularly attached to the Green Party. And so, you know, in my fantasy, it's like, okay, he wins with the Green Party, and then when he runs again, maybe he'll run with us. But that's just the fantasy. But I do want to, I mean, one, he might have questions for us. And that's why I think it's good that we're discussing what kind of answers we want to give him. But we might want to just let him know who we are, and he might want to find out who we are. So I think it's good to be prepared with a unified, you know, statement or statements that represent us. So if Aaron is preparing something, that's great. That's it.
I am.
Oh, great. That's great, Aaron. Joseph, did you want to say anything?
I'm a little embarrassed since I joined the meeting late to
That's-
ask which position. I thought I would just Google after. Which position is this candidate that's being discussed running for? Matthew Ho?
State, a senator of the United States, he is running against a Republican and a Dem. He didn't make the primary, but he's going to be on the November ballot. Yeah.
As a
So,
as a Green Party candidate.
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for sharing. How you doing, Delmas?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Well, okay. I finally got the audio worked. I had to go back and punch the allow button and a couple other things. I wanted to ask Scott if he had any contact with Elena Everett. If you don't know Elena, I mean, she's fantastic. She's a young lady that did journalism for the Institute of Southern Studies at UNC, and but she at one time was chair of the Green Party. But I've lost contact with her, but I think she would fit into what I've heard here. Scott, do you have any connection with her?
No, I have not. Many, many years ago, only briefly when we was working with the Greens in 2004, but I've never spoken to her or anything, just basically heard of her, but maybe a few emails back and forth, but nothing substantial.
Well, I think you'd be surprised. I was thinking that even if you had to place a candidate on a write-in status, that would give visibility if they're official candidate. And I think that's one of the needs you have is visibility. Let people know that you're there, what you stand for. If I'd go over to the mall and interview 100 people, I'm sure that I'd be surprised if any of them had heard of the People's Party. But you get the message out by using these media platforms and participating in forums and things like that, and issuing press releases, that sort of thing.
thanks, Delmas.
I
Okay,
want to add something to that too. I'm
Oh,
now
wait,
able-
Stacy, how much time has he got? I can't read it. If the camera's cutting it off.
45 seconds. Go ahead, Delmas.
I came out of the FDR era. I believe government can do good things for people. FDR was our hero, and I think his politics would play well today. He's a great man. He put price supports on for the farmer. He built WPA schools, put people to work through the Civilian Conservation Corps, and he unshackled the suffering humanity. FDR, if you start studying it, he wasn't perfect, but he's a great man. And
Time's up.
today, the neocons are taking over the Democratic Party. It's not the party of Hubert Humphrey or Robert Kennedy. It's a party of the corporations that put in all these trade agreements that leave the rural areas out, that kind of sort of thing. Okay, I'm through.
Okay, thanks, Delmas.
Thank you.
Stacy. Good job on timing tonight. Thank you. Okay, well, we got, is it okay? We'll do one more. How about a time check? We're usually an hour and a half. Is that right? We usually don't go any more than an hour and a half, right? So it's 8 o'clock. So we could talk some more. We'll do another, how about another little clip thing? And then we could talk more about this and what questions we want to ask them. Sounds like Aaron's got a little bit under control, but we can make sure, you know, other people don't, because it's local, but it's federal, you know, it's a big deal. It affects the whole world, but it's local crazy shenanigans as well. Okay. I'm going to do this one that has to do with, local, his opponents, something about his opponents. Okay.
You're stealing. What are you, a paid Republican operative? You're only helping the Republicans doing the Green Party thing. Bill Stein was a Russian plant, you know, all that nonsense. And Leanne collected, I don't know how many signatures, a lot, right? Hundreds or low thousands maybe or something, right? You know, and she only had that one person who was harassing her like that. So it shows you really, again, how broad this fixation on this partisanship, that I'm not going to say it because it's really it's not a nice thing to say, but the fixation on maintaining the status quo is how limited it is. I mean, where you get the problem is you run into the whole lesser of two evils, where people feel that like the other is such a threat. And yeah, I mean, I will say that the Republican Ted Budd is worse than the Democrat Sherry Beasley in certain ways incrementally. Like certainly on an issue like abortion, of course, I would, side with where Beasley is. And I'm to the left of where Beasley is on abortion. It was only until, if you look at her campaign stuff, like a lot of Democrats, she won't say the word abortion, or it's very limited, or maybe it was a slip up. They say reproductive rights. They're afraid to say the word abortion. I mean, it's this massaging, this managing of the issues, because they're one of the interesting things about the campaign I'm seeing from the Democrat here is they're going to that. They take away the wrong lessons of that shift in Obama voters to Trump voters from 2012 to 2016. They take it away as if there's some type of ideological foundation to that, some type of philosophical reasoning for that shift, as opposed to the reality of the bread and butter issues, the nuts and bolts. These are people who lost their homes, or their families lost their homes, or their friends lost their homes, and they saw their Democrats do nothing for them. They saw their lives just actually worsen.
Okay, any more thoughts? What we should ask them, whatever, you guys, you go for it. Anybody?
I'll probably ask him what he was going to say that he stopped himself from saying.
Yeah.
Just because I'm curious about
like
that.
to hear dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There was another thing he had said. I'll have to go back and watch the whole clip again. It was like a saying. It was a type kind of saying type thing, and it was really good. And I was like, I should have written it down. I was like, I might start using that. So I might kind of dive a little bit deeper on that as well.
I don't know if Delmas and John, if they're on Gilded, but I have shared about 4 or 5 of Matt Ho's videos that he's in. He was just in Sabby Sabs in Massachusetts. She had him on. I put that in the Gilded. So if you're in there, that's very helpful. But he was a guest on there. Now he just showed up right here and to the Durham Triangle DSA group. He's all over the place, which is great. He's trying like hell. I want to back him. I want him real bad. Like to hear he save us, like with Bernie, save our country, right? Oh, help save our everything, right? He's just really, I'm very impressed. I want him to win really bad. Janet made a comment in the chat about it, that he could win. Yeah, so here, we want to get disappointed. Mark has his hand up.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, for finding videos of Matt Ho or anybody on YouTube and probably other video platforms where they're on, all you got to do is enter their name in a search field and you'll get all kinds of things. That's for him or anybody. Also regarding the possibility of him winning, yeah, Ross Perot got 19% after withdrawing from the campaign for 3 months in the summer. There have actually been, we've had 59 presidential elections in this country, and in 10 of them, more than 2 candidates carried states. But the one to really look at is Jesse Ventura, who actually won in Minnesota in the gubernatorial race in 1998. That's the way you do it when you can. You have to differentiate yourself sufficiently from both of the duopoly candidates, and it's beneficial if they run close. The Democrat, Hubert Humphrey's son Skip, got 28%. Norm Coleman, former mayor of St. Paul, I think, got 34%. Ventura got 37%. That's how you make the spoiler effect work for you. That, and it gives you leverage if you're a minor candidate. You do have the option of withdrawing. Stacy, when you hold that thing up, the mute symbol covers the reading. If you could move it a little to your right.
Yeah.
There you go. That's better. Okay. Am I out of time?
No, you have a minute. You have a minute.
Okay. Oh, I see. 50, 49. Okay. Well, that's the way you do it. Or if you can only be a spoiler, you can demand concessions in return for voluntarily withdrawing. But if you've got ranked choice voting, that all goes away. Think about it. Done.
Thanks, Mark. I was gonna bring that up, that some of us, especially Mark, I know, doesn't believe ranked choice voting is a good idea. And I've read some of his things, and I'm in the ranked choice voting committee for research for North Carolina. So it's not perfect, but that's a question we can ask Matt, because he mentions RCV as a good thing. And his, not that he's, an expert in elections or whatever, but that's something because I mean, a lot of us feel like
Yep,
how,
I know that.
so, and I like sometime maybe to have almost like a half an hour on what exactly, and to show exactly situations where you and other people, not to put you on the spot, but that's something we really should, refine and know where we're at with, I think, because a lot of us feel it's the only way we're going to have equality in voting. So we should kind of work that out a little bit at least. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm up for discussion of that anytime.
Okay.
Done.
And you were out of town. Okay, good. Yeah, I think we should. Okay, anybody else have comments on anything right now, on any of this stuff, and any questions for Matt? That would be one about the ranked choice voting. I'd like to see his opinion. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, Bob.
We can't, as a party, we're not a party, so we can't endorse anybody anyway. So as a political action group, or whatever the pressure group, I believe is what Mark calls it, can we endorse a city council candidate in Greensboro?
You bet.
Who said anybody whoever said you bet, you want to explain it, or do you need to say any more? Go ahead.
That was me. Yes, you can endorse candidates in any race and from any party, and even if it's nonpartisan. Yes, you can.
Okay. So we then we have to be sure that the political action group of the People's Party. How do we label that?
It's called Populist Action of North Carolina, and you still have to get it set up. It's incorporated, but you haven't set up the bylaws. Scott and I drafted a set, but you all don't particularly like them, but you haven't come up with any that you do like. You don't have officers, you don't have a bank account. So you need to actually get it established, but the articles of incorporation for it have been filed, and it has a name, and Scott has even designed a logo, which I think is pretty nice.
And one of my updates was I just created a Twitter for it. So it even has a Twitter page now. I'll say this though, if there's a lot that has gone into doing all the nuts and bolts for the party, and it takes a lot of bandwidth. It takes a lot of me donating, my money to the cause, which I'm happily doing. But like this PO box, for example, is like $156, but we need it, right? It's going to be hard for me to double all of this with the pressure group. So, it's going to be probably slower going for that to go, get up and
Aaron,
running.
Aaron, is that a year or 6 months?
What's that? That's for a year. That's for the year. I just paid for the year because it comes with a free month when you do it like that. So, but it just is what it is. And I don't know if we'll have time, but I did put on the agenda that I wanted to do a treasury update, and maybe Stacy can do that part because she was there too. So, but yeah, I just wanted to add that, like, we have the Populist Action Group. I think honestly that'll be easier to do. It's just going to take time and money, and me personally, I'm going to put like my focus on being the treasurer of this People's Party. We have a date coming up. This is part of the update. I might as well just say it now. We have a date coming up early July where it's mandatory that we file. So I need to do that. Every day we don't file, we could be fined like $50 a day. So that's a big deal. That's where I have to put all my focus there. We don't have a choice. So, which is fine. I'll do it. It's just, we have the training coming up. We have all this, and maybe Stacy can add to that. But yeah.
Thank you, Aaron. That was your update about the treasury?
Stacy can fill in the blanks with.
You wrote in the chat, I have a treasury update. Was that it?
That's I mean, I covered some of that there. Yeah.
Okay, Bob had his hand up, and then Stacy also about ranked choice voting. She has something about that, but we are going to get into the ranked choice voting one of these weeks, more heavily. Okay, go Bob.
I promised to donate the part of the gate of the door to the cause here. And how should I do that? Should I mail a check to the post office box? Do you want it made out to the People's Party or to the Action Group or to the Aaron Muhammad, or how do you want the check made out? Just a couple $100.
What is it? Which is this for specifically? Because that will.
That's what I'm asking you. I promised to donate to the cause. I'm asking you
Just
how
the
you
general?
want it done. Huh?
Well, we can send the check, or
Yeah.
I mean,
How you want it made out? Or you want it blank?
no,
Well,
just, what?
make it out to the People's Party of North Carolina.
just
I mean,
do that.
That's what it's set up.
Okay.
And there's a PO box is on the web page. I mean, just write a check, put it in the PO box.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you're giving me that elementary information.
Thanks, Bob. It looks like we lost Maple. Hopefully she'll be right back. But
I have a quick question
ahead,
about
Stacey.
the donation. Do we
Go ahead.
also need to get from Bob things like his employer? I know you're probably retired. Employer, et cetera, all those things we need to get from people donating to the political party. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
All those
so
specific
let me just answer that real quick. So there's yes. The short answer is yes, we're going to need to have that information. I think, and I sent this to you, Scott. I'm not sure if you were able to look at it, but there are fields. The way I'm envisioning it is similar to like Act Blue. There are fields that will be there that need to be filled out. As far as a check is concerned, I'm not sure how we would get that with a check. I know we would be able to do it from the standpoint of like the website and doing it digitally. Once I go through this treasury training, which by the way, that was part of it, I have registered for that officially. I'll probably have more of these details, but until then, I'm not sure.
The website is not yet, it's still not accepting donation.
May I say something again? And that is, I have in my possession the little forms that we filled out for the Green Party. This is going to end. Sorry, stop that. That when people gave a donation, it had all the information that you had to fill out. So I could conceivably send that information to Bob, and he can write it all down, and then we would have to manually enter it into the computer. Right? Does that make sense? Is that possible? Does that sound possible?
You guys, my computer did blue screen, by the way, and then I got completely out. Now I'm on my phone, so you guys carry on amongst yourself. Over.
Oh no. Okay, go ahead, Mark. Oh, to answer your Stacy, let me get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
The clicker switch is flaky. Sometimes I get nothing. Sometimes I get one click. Sometimes I get a double click and it cancels itself. Anyway, yeah, a little form like that is like what we had when I was Green Party treasurer. Basically, all you need the person's address, and their occupation and employer, and that's it. And if they're retired and don't have a business, then you just put that down. But really, that's all you need. It's you do have to have a way of getting that. However, if somebody just sends a check, then you have to get with them and ask them for that information somehow.
Okay.
I just want to add this. So Bob had just mentioned that the donation link still isn't active. We do have the vendor set up. I'm not sure, Scott, I might need to work with you on this. I'm not sure what we need to do at this point to like finish this last step. We've already applied, gotten through with the vendor that's supposed to be handling that, but I don't know what we're supposed to do next.
Well, what I am supposed to do next
Okay.
is they just got through sending me the setup information to have a pay button on the website,
Okay.
which I have to configure and set that up, which will happen in the next day or two. I'll let everybody know on Gilded, but I have to set that up, and then basically I'm designing a web page that's going to have our logo and everything on it when you click the pay button, and then we will have custom design the fields on that web page to put exactly what we're looking for as far as information. Once that happens, then they will go in, they'll put in their information, and then all the stuff we're looking for, and it will take their payment and process it and send it directly into our bank account. So that's what we need to end up doing. So yeah, I'm working on that, and they took their sweet time getting that information to us. I was hoping it'd be ready by now, but the next couple of days we'll have that ironed out and ready to go. And yeah, let's just get a clear idea as to what information we need. Let's try to keep it succinct, not any more information than we actually need. The person donating doesn't want to be bogged down with bureaucracy, so let's just get the basics we need and then move on. So yeah, I'm working on it, and we'll have it done shortly. Anything else? Any other question about that?
I happen to have, I pulled up the Green Party form, And the only thing that's on it, other than name, address, phone, email, and amount, is employer and occupation and form of payment. And date. So that feels pretty not too bureaucratic, huh?
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
basically it.
those are basics, you know, you gotta know what your employer is, your occupation, that kind of thing, name, address.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead. I got my hand up, has been for a while. But yeah, you're right. That's all you need. And the way it's usually handled on a website is there's a form page that you have to get through before you get to the page where you actually make the payment. That's the way it usually is, so that you can't get to the payment page without filling in that form. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, that's that. It's really pretty straightforward. You just have to get the occupation information.
Yeah. Can you guys see this screen?
yeah.
Yeah. So this is what it looks like. You get their information. And this, I screenshot this just because I've done this before and I know this is how Act Blue does. I get like spammed by these Democratic people all the time and I usually ignore them. But this time I went in so I can get this information because I knew this would come up. They ask, this is how they do it. They ask, campaign finance law requires us to collect your occupation and employer. So yes, no. If you say no, this doesn't even pop up. If you say yes, then you provide your occupation and employer. And that's really it. This is basically what we need. And then I just screenshotted this because this is something to also keep in mind. I have a feeling this will probably, and every state's going to be different. But I have a feeling this is going to be what the treasurer training is going to cover as well. But this should give you an idea. So why I was a little concerned or kind of confused per se is because this is easy to answer when it comes to someone going on our website and donating. This is what we would do. That's the answer to that question. But for me, the question, if it's a check, how do we get all that? So that's for me. That's kind of how I wasn't sure how we would do that. So we'll have to figure that out. Go ahead, Mark.
In response to something we were discussing a little bit ago, I don't think there's any problem with the two organizations sharing a PO box or a street address. They are separate corporations, therefore they have separate officers. They can share officers, but they're not the same body, right? In other words, you can serve on both if you want. You can be treasurer of one and chair of another. They don't have to be distinct groups of people, but they're two different organizations. However, for them to share a PO box and a street address is perfectly legal. So there's probably some money that can be saved there and should be. Also, it isn't illegal for a party to endorse another party's candidate, and it would actually be perfectly legal for PPNC to endorse Ho if you want to. There's no law against it. I've never seen it done. Most parties have a policy against endorsing other parties' candidates. However, it ain't against the law. Done.
That's good to know. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say one thing we can do with the check issue is I can put a little blurb on the website that we already have the PO box on there. We can also put on there the information that we also require if you are mailing a check. Please include blah, 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 blah. And that way we can kind of Or we could say, please, put your phone number on the check so we can contact you for additional information one way or the other, that way we can get that information from them. So,
Thanks, Scott. Maple, what do we have next? That's all I was really gonna talk about as far as treasury. I mean, I don't know if Stacy wanted to add anything. Stacy and I had met for a treasury powwow. So I don't know if there's anything there, but after that, that's all I had.
I'll
I mean,
just
I had
add-
those two, I had the two things, and then like, Bob can talk about his appearance, give us a report, but Stacy's got a little something to say here. Go ahead.
Just I'm going to try to sign up for the training in July. I was trying to do it for June and it didn't work out because it was full already. So I guess I have to sign up earlier, but intend to do that in July.
Is that
Yeah.
the New York City that you're talking about? The sociocracy? Is that what you're talking about?
No. This is the treasurer training.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did put in Gilded. There's a different thing, but I think it's almost the same thing. The circles, I put that in Gilded. The Extinction Rebellion people are having it. Part 1 is Monday, 6 to 9 Eastern, and then following Monday's part 2. It's about those circles and things. Because I don't know. I didn't really understand it so far in the Nissans and the other one too. It was a little dry, so it might be, just saying. Okay, yeah, I'm back, but I'm not really back because I'm on my phone. It's annoying, but yeah, so we had Bob to talk about his presentation, I guess, and it's been really interesting, and I think we should endorse Matt, and I think we do have some good questions ready for him for next week. And I'm sure more will come up, but yeah,
Okay, do I time Bob or no?
whatever you guys
That's
think.
that pretty much. I gave you the gist of what was going on. Some people came late, but I'll just say that it was a rousing success. If I say so myself, but I had a lot of help. One of them was our kind of member, Carol Schaefer. I tried to hire her as a marketing person from my business, and she said she'd just rather be my friend, take her to dinner. So I did that twice over the weekend. And the point was, the presentation I put together pretty well shreds the duopoly. It traces the Gilded Age, which started doing Reconstruction. I took the position that the Gilded Age has never been over. A lot of people say we're in the new Gilded Age. No, we've never been out of the Gilded Age. We've been devolving ever since it started. And the duopoly is the nasty result of the thing. So what I want to do now, I want to spend a few seconds to try again to get me in front of an organization, or somebody who is running an organization, so I can offer to come to their premises and give a version. I don't think it'll be as long, but to give a version of what I set up there. I'm putting it on YouTube. It's in post-production. Should have been finished today, and I may have the link right now, but I don't know it. But the essential thing, the reason I offered to do this, volunteered to do this, is because I think it's a way to build membership, and we got to have a lot of people. We may not succeed with a lot of people, but we'll surely fail if we don't have them. So I'm willing to go all around the state, wherever anybody wants me, at my expense. That's how committed I am to it.
Janet is asking, what's it called on YouTube? And yes, Scott's still recording.
Looking for some contacts with people in an organization that would benefit from this and maybe be interested in joining.
Bob, what's it called on YouTube? Oh,
It'll be Mark Twain Politics Then and Now. I haven't put it up because I don't have it yet, but I'll send that out. I'll send out an email.
Thank you.
Let you know.
Can I just say that I think it would be really helpful if to have that video, so that will help we can show it to people, and that will help entice them to want you to come to their.
Well, sure. Yeah, what I'm going to do is, you don't want the whole thing. I'm not sure exactly how long it was, but it was over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
probably 45 minutes. I'm going to go in and select pieces that will be pointed at what you just asked for, something that'll
Great.
say, wow, God, I didn't know that. Man, we need to do something about that. Thanks for bringing that up, Stacy.
Yes, that would be great.
Yes.
Then people can get a taste of what
Yeah.
what you're all about.
Well, I don't care if they know what I'm about. I want them to know what the People's Party is all about and why it's absolutely essential that a party like ours, or a party with the purpose that ours has, is strengthened to oppose and overcome the duopoly.
Maple has
Maple's
her
got
hand
her
up.
hand up.
Go Maple.
Well, yeah, it has to do with that. Now, this week I was on my week, I'm usually on a call that's, against the Republican senator. It's been going on for like 6 years anyway. Many of the people are in a certain party, shall we say. I mean, so much so.
Yeah, so I like the
And
Democrats.
I did put in the chat that Matthew Ho is a great candidate. And I knew it would, and so I got some bad comments back in the chat, like, a vote for him is definitely a vote for the is a vote for the Republican candidate, etc. And so I was able to reply one thing in the chat that was pretty good. I wrote that something Matt actually says. He said, people that are, usually it's only people that are like, he said, I'm saying obsessed, that are with a party, like working for parties, that will do that. I said, only person obsessed with the will try to deter someone from voting for their preferred best candidate. And voting is our right. That's the only right we basically have anymore. And so I typed that in the chat, and I didn't get any more responses, but that could be a question. I'm sure he gets that all the time. The spoiler thing, what do people say? What's the good thing to say back? And we could ask Matt, what do you say? But he says he doesn't get much of that at all. He says people are very receptive and that he should be able to run. So there you go. But it's that elephant in the room, you guys, at the last minute in that voting booth. What do people do? They get scared. So anyway, I know I keep bringing that up because I'm still new and I'm just over that wall myself. So anyway, that's it.
I want to suggest, if I may, that you look at the video, and I'll let you know when it's available on YouTube, and critically look at what did I leave out? What could I have said? What would be better for me to say to your organization, Maple? And this thing about, we need to get a really good answer for this thing, diluting the vote of the Democrats, which is the same thing as saying that's voted for the Republican. And the point is, it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. But we got to figure a way to make that palatable, because we're really tearing down a lot of paper castles here. So I solicit your input, and I will put it in if I can be convinced that it'll do some good.
Maple, I just wanted to say really quickly, you reminded me the part that I couldn't remember that Matthew said. It was a saying type thing, and it was exactly that. He was talking about when people ask him, about being a spoiler, and he said, the go-to thing is, how do you spoil something that's already so rotten? And I loved that. That's what I was. That's what I was trying to think about. So I was like, I'm going to use that from now on. But yeah, so that you just reminded me. That's what it was. That's exactly what
That's
it was.
beautiful.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. How low can we go? We're almost dead, for
stealing
God's
that.
sake.
I'm stealing it. Only
Take
steal
it.
from the best.
Yeah. I'm taking it too. I'm definitely gonna bring it up when he's here. So. Maple, do you still have your hand up? Do you still have something? Okay. Oh, Mark's got his hand up. Sorry. You're on mute.
muted, Mark.
You're on mute.
Pardon me. In the chat about halfway down, I put the contact information for Down Home, North Carolina. I don't know if they'd be interested in a Mark Twain thing, but they're close to Durham and they're close to Guilford and to Greensboro, and they welcome drop-ins Tuesday through Friday. They're just off the Maple Avenue exit from 40 and 85. I don't know what number that is, but but anyhow, you can look them up. It's 1250 Plaza Drive. They're in a storefront in a mostly dead mall.
What's wrong with that?
Burlington is like one big mall. I can't believe it. I spent last week there, and most of it, at least the part anywhere near the interstate, is just it's like 5 to 10 miles of incessant strip mall. There's nothing else there. It's unbelievable. Anyway, they're not as astroturf as Move On, but they are definitely subservient to the Democratic Party, which is why I don't expect to last there any length of time. But lots of interesting people hang out there, and it would be, if it's not too inconvenient, I think you find it interesting to stop by and stick your nose in.
Go ahead, Stacy.
I'm done.
Oops. All right. I'm just going to add that. Well, I better time this, but this is a quickie, I think. I'm just going to add to the conversation about what to say about the spoiler thing. I said this before, and I'm just going to say it again because it really has worked for me. And that's just to tell them there's now more unaffiliated voters than there are Republican or Dems, and we could win with just the unaffiliated voters and a few of the, basically. And that shuts people up as soon as it just shuts them up. So down and dirty, quick and easy, boom. That's it. And it's 8:38. I got to go soon.
I love it. Go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, we've been working with Kate Minocchio from the People's Party of New Jersey on our About Us page. And we kind of tweaked it up a little bit. I have it available to share now, or you can just look at it later on at your leisure. I haven't posted it yet, but I went ahead and put our history, how we dealt with MPP, how we decided to move out on our own and why. And I think it looks pretty good now. It's going to be a little bit better than what we had. A little more explanation of who we are and where we're at in our evolution. So we are at the end of the meeting. So if you check that page going forward here, I'll have that up tonight. And if you see anything that maybe needs to be tweaked, please do so. But like I said, I had Kate look that over, and because she was intimately involved and knew how to articulate this rift with the MPP and when and where and why and all of that. So I wanted her input on that, and she did give that to me gracefully. And so anyway, it's that's good news, and I'll be working a little more on messaging. I think messaging is critical, and as we all do. So if we can get that tightened up on the website, that's really going to be of benefit to us going forward, for people to push people to the website. They'll have good, accurate information that we want them to have. So. And also, I'd like to say thanks to Mark, because that is a good idea for us to. We can use the same PO box. That's good to know. We do have pretty much the same officers. So with the pressure group, we can save some money in that respect. So we will certainly do that. That's it for me.
I'm good.
Y'all ready?
I gotta go, but can I ask a quick question, Scott? If you can you post a link to that page on Gilded or something so we know where to find it?
Well, it's the it's our peoplespartync.org, our webpage. It's the About Us link.
About Us. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, just click on About Us, and I haven't posted it, but I will in the next couple of hours. But yeah,
Awesome. I'll look forward to reading it.
We ready to stop recording?
Yeah.
I am.
Okay. We have stopped the recording. Maple, you did a great job tonight.
Yeah. Thank you, Maple.
There you go.
Yeah,
So-
thanks, Maple.
All right, so I guess we're
Maple, you're muted.
Oh, I thought I hit it. I must have hit it twice. Well, thank you. Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, as we experiment, right? Timing can be good when there's like a structured program like that or something, you know, and then we can have our little chat after about the boring stuff. John left. I think it was too boring from that guy when we started talking about treasury and stuff. I think he got bored. I don't know.
It might have been. I also know he was driving. I don't know if that has
Oh,
something to do with
okay.
it.
He's
Sorry.
definitely a keeper. I think he'll sign up. We need to get him the information about how to do that.
The
That
name
should be
sounded
an
familiar.
automatic when we get new people coming in for the first time.
Yeah.
I think Janet's got a good point. Like, we're nobody knows about us, but you know, recommending Matt can just be a good thing and get us a little out there. I love him. I think, you know, after next week, so we can start thinking about how we do that and if we should do it, you know what I mean?
So we
Yeah.
recommend Matt as the People's Party of North Carolina, or do we recommend Matt as the Political Action Party of North Carolina?
That's my
Or how do
question
we
as
do
well. That's my question too.
Yeah, we can, I think, Mark can clear me up on this, but I believe we can endorse them as a populist action of North Carolina, definitely. We could
that's-
as People's Party of North Carolina, but we don't want to do that. That's not done normally. So,
Yeah,
But yeah.
I don't know if I want to set that precedent, to be honest.
right. So populist action can certainly do so. Yeah.
Yeah.
but nobody knows who the hell that is. I want to start getting the name out there. So that's the main point. I mean, he'll be more help to us for publicity than we will be for him for getting votes.
You can start, Bob, with your ex-Democratic group. Good luck. I mean, yeah, we're up against that spoiler thing. Like I always say, we've got to figure out how to get it out there. I don't know.
So how do we get our name out until we got all the signatures? And how do we get all the signatures if we can't get our name out there?
So we recommend, Matt, we do like a press conference, or we send out a letter to newspapers saying that we are we're a forming party and we recommend Matt, you know, something like that. I'm just saying, you could do stuff like that.
That's what Mark says we can't do. We may not do. We may not endorse a candidate if we're not a party.
Oh,
Did I
okay.
understand that wrong?
We are a party.
No, we aren't.
We're
Not
not.
till we get,
Well,
You
you
weren't
contact
listening.
the state of North Carolina and you'll find out.
we just don't have a ballot line. Is that right?
That's right. We don't
Okay,
have a
good.
ballot.
I'm glad to hear it.
Okay, so
I-
yeah,
What I said, I will repeat it because I don't think you got it the first time. It's not illegal for a political committee or even a party to endorse another party's candidate, but I've never seen it done.
Oh,
But that doesn't mean you couldn't do it. But it
okay, I misunderstood.
it was much simpler back in the days of the original People's Party of 1892. And they did endorse the Democratic presidential candidate in 1896. But that was the beginning of the end for them. But that was after they had already run their own. That was after they had already run their own candidate in 92. That that's typically the way third parties die, and that's one of the reasons there's such an aversion to it. But there's probably I don't know. I'll leave it to you guys, but it's not illegal. It's just not normally done, and it has been the kiss of death for established third parties. Also, back in that time, fusion was allowed in most states. You know what fusion is?
Yeah.
So a lot of the candidates that the original People's Party successfully elected to Congress, particularly, were fusion candidates.
There were all
And-
more than one ballot line.
You got it. And that was allowed in most places in this country back then. But states, one of the reasons that that the two parties are so entrenched, only one reason, but one reason is that they've managed to get state legislatures to outlaw fusion. There are now only 8 states that allow it.
Can I just add my 2 cents with this? So I personally don't think it's going to be a good precedent to set if we did this the kid, like, yes, I just read this comment from Stacy. Kiss of death is a good reason not to do it. I kind of agree. I do agree with that. I will say this: if we do make some sort of an exception or what have you, and we do this with Matthew Ho, I want to be clear that the only reason I would maybe be going along with it is because he is outside of the duopoly. So even if it's the best of best candidates that are just like Matthew Ho, but are running within the establishment, within the 2-party system, I 100%